Hello everyone, welcome back to Pabbly. In this video, we're going to learn how to generate termination letter with Google Sheets and share via Gmail. So if you're tired of sending termination letters to all of your employees manually, then this automation is for you. With the help of this automation, whenever you're going to add the details of your employees in your Google Sheets, automatically a termination letter will be generated in our Google Docs, as we have already created a template in our Google Docs account, and with the help of Google Drive, we are going to receive a PDF file link and we are going to send an email to all of our employees whose details we are going to add in our Google Sheets termination letter attached to it in a PDF format. For that, we need to create an automation between all of these applications with the help of Pabbly Connect. If you want to learn how to do this automation, then let me take you all to my screen. In this video, we're going to learn how to generate termination letter from Google Sheets and send it via Gmail. So my objective is that whenever I'm going to add the details of the employee who is going to be terminated from my organization in my Google Sheets, automatically with the help of the template that we have created in our Google Docs, the termination letter of the same employee should be generated in my Google Docs and it should be forwarded towards the employee as an email with the help of Gmail with the attachment of that same termination letter in PDF form. For that, we need to create an automation with the help of Pabbly Connect. So on the screen, you can see the website of Pabbly Connect, that is pabbly.com/connect. After browsing this website, we need to sign into our Pabbly Connect account. But if you're a new user, you can sign up for free and get 100 free tasks every month. So as I'm an existing user, I'm going to sign into my Pabbly Connect account. After that, you can see the All Pabbly Apps window in front of you, in which you can see the 5 functions of Pabbly, from which we are going to select Pabbly Connect by clicking on Access Now. Then on a new tab, you can see the Pabbly Connect dashboard is going to open. To start an automation process, we need to create a workflow. For that, we have to click on the top right corner button that is right over here that says Create Workflow. As you can see, a new dialog box has then appeared in front of you, which is asking for a workflow name. Over here, we are going to provide the name to our workflow. So I want the name of my workflow to be Generate Termination Letter with Google Sheets and Share via Gmail. So this is what I want my workflow name to be. After that, it is asking for us to select a folder. On the left side of my screen, you can see I have created multiple folders in my Pabbly Connect account, from which I am going to select a specific folder in which I want to save this workflow in. For that, we have to click on this arrow of the drop down right over here. So these are the folders that I have created in my Pabbly Connect account, from which I want to save this workflow in Gmail automations folder. So I'm going to select the folder. After giving a name to a workflow and selecting the folder, I'm going to click on Create in order to create a workflow. A workflow is created in the name of Generate Termination Letter with Google Sheets and Share via Gmail, and there are 2 windows in front of you. One says Trigger and another says Action. Trigger and Action are the 2 most important steps of our automation process because our process depends on these 2 steps. Over here, Trigger says when this happens and Action says do this. That means our action is response towards our trigger. In our automation process, there can be only one trigger step but multiple action steps. Firstly, we're going to set up our trigger step. For that, we have to click on this arrow right over here. It is asking for us to choose our trigger application. Our trigger application is going to be Google Sheets, because I want that whenever I add the data of my employees in my Google Sheets, automatically a document of termination letter should be generated. For that, a trigger application is going to be Google Sheets and a trigger event is going to be new or updated spreadsheet row. After selecting a trigger application in the trigger event, over here you can see Pabbly Connect has provided us with a webhook URL. This is a unique webhook URL which is going to help us to connect Google Sheets with Pabbly Connect by following the steps that is given right here below. We are going to copy this URL from here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to open my Google Sheets that I've created in my Google Sheets account, and I'm going to connect that Google Sheet with Pabbly Connect. For that, I'm going to open my Google Sheets, and as you can see, this is a Google Sheets that I've created in the name of Employees Termination Data, and I want that whenever I add the data of the employee who is going to be terminated from my organization in this spreadsheet, automatically the termination letter should be generated with the help of Google Docs. For that, what we have to do is we have to generate a bridge between Google Sheets and Pabbly Connect, and for that, we are going to use this webhook URL that Pabbly Connect has provided us. For that, what we have to do is we have to click on extensions right over here. Then we are going to click on add-ons, then on get add-ons. Then a new window is going to appear in front of you, on which in the search bar we have to search for Pabbly Connect webhooks. So I'm going to select Pabbly Connect webhooks. Over here you can see it says Pabbly Connect webhooks. We are going to open this. As you can see, I've already installed the Pabbly Connect webhook. You have to install it if you have not installed it, because if you're going to install it, then only you can connect Pabbly Connect with Google Sheets with the help of this webhook. So I'm going to close this right now as I've already installed Pabbly Connect webhooks. Then we have to click on extensions again, and now you can see over here it says Pabbly Connect webhooks. We're going to click on it, and over here then you can see it says initial setup. We're going to select this. Then a new dialog box is going to appear in front of you, which is asking for a webhook URL and a trigger column. Firstly, we are going to provide the webhook URL. Over here, we are going to paste the webhook URL that Pabbly Connect has provided us. So I'm going to paste the webhook URL, and then it is asking for us to select a trigger column. Over here, it says trigger column will be your final data column on which if the data is added. And in this spreadsheet that I've created right over here, the final data column of my spreadsheet is column H. After providing the webhook URL in the trigger column, I'm going to click on submit. As you can see right over here, it says setup configured successfully. Now I'm going to go back, and the steps which I'm going to tell you right now, very important. You have to follow the steps and keep it by, do not forget it. We have to click on extensions again, then we have to click on Pabbly Connect webhooks again, and then we have to select send on event. Over here it says working. If I'm going to take you back to extension and then Pabbly Connect webhooks, over here it says send on event, and in front of it you can see a tick mark. So this means that whenever I add the data of my employee in this spreadsheet, automatically the data is going to be transferred into my Pabbly Connect account, and for that we have selected send on event. Now over here, if I'm going to take you back to Pabbly Connect account, it says waiting for webhook response. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the data of my employee in my Google Sheets. So over here, I'm going to open my Google Sheets, and I'm going to fill in all these details that is right over here, and I'm going to check whether when I'm going to fill all the details, Pabbly Connect is going to capture the response of those details or not. Firstly, for the reference number, I'm going to write it as a dummy reference number. Then for the issue date, I'm going to write over here the date on which this termination letter is issued. So for that, I'm going to write over here it as 23 March 2024. Then for the employee ID, I'm going to write it as a dummy employee ID. Then for the employee name, I'm going to write it as dummy user 123. Then for the email, I'm going to write it as dummy user 123@pabblytuts.com. Then for the designation, I'm going to write it as junior content creator. After that, it is asking for the date of termination. Over here, I'm going to provide the final date of termination. So I'm going to write over here as 23 April 2024. Over here for the termination letter section, I'm going to write it as yes, because I want that whenever I'm going to write over here as yes, then only the termination letter should be generated and forwarded towards the employee whose details I'm going to add right over here as an email with the help of Gmail. So over here, I'm going to write it as yes. So as you can see that I've filled in all the details right over here. Now I'm going to open my Pabbly Connect account, and I'm going to check whether Pabbly Connect has captured the response of the details that we have added right now or not. For that, I'm going to open my Pabbly Connect account. I'm going to scroll down, and yes, as you can see right over here, a response is captured in our Pabbly Connect. So if I'm going to scroll down the response, over here for the name it says dummy user 123. For the employee ID, the dummy ID that we have provided. Email as dummyuser123@pabblytuts.com. Designation as junior content creator. Date of termination as 23rd April 2024. Issued date as 23rd March 2024. Reference number, dummy reference number. Termination letter as yes, and all the other details. This means that this is fully connected Google Sheets with Pabbly Connect. After that, we have to set up our action steps. So if I'm going to take you back to my Google Sheets, I want that whenever I'm going to write over here as yes in the place of termination letter, then only a termination letter should be generated with the help of Google Docs. So in Pabbly Connect, for the action step right over here, what we are going to do is we are going to add a filter. For the action application, I have selected filter by Pabbly. This is an amazing feature by Pabbly Connect. After that, we have to select our action event, which is going to be filter values. After that, I'm going to click on connect. It is asking for the select label, filter type, and the value right over here. So what I want that whenever this termination letter is equal to yes, then only this automation process should continue. For that, over here in the place of select label, I'm going to select the label as termination letter, and I want that the filter type should be equal to, and for the value as yes. So that whenever the termination letter is going to be equal to yes, then only this automation process is going to continue. After that, I'm going to click on save and send test request. Over here you can see for the message it says condition is true. That means the filter that we have applied is correct. After that, we have to set up our action step, and I want that whenever I add the detail of my employee in Google Sheets, automatically a termination letter should be generated with the help of Google Docs. For that, we're going to add another action step by clicking on this plus button right over here, and our action application is going to be Google Docs. So I'm going to select my action application as Google Docs, and our action event is going to be create document from template, because as I've already created a template of termination letter in my Google Docs, and as you can see right over here, in place of some values, you can see the curly brackets and in front and in the end of these values. These are the variables right over here. I want that whenever I add the details of my employee in Google Sheets, automatically in place of these variables, the values of those employee details should be added. For that, I've created the variables in this template right over here, and this is the template that I've created. So if I'm going to take you back over here, I've selected my action event as create document from template. After that, I'm going to click on connect in order to connect Google Docs with Pabbly Connect. Then a new window is going to appear in front of you, on which I'm going to click on add new connection. But if you have an existing connection, you can choose this option. After that, I'm going to click on sign in with Google. Then a new window is going to appear in front of you, which is asking for a permission. I'm going to click on allow, as this is a safe process and my data is completely safe with Pabbly Connect. As you can see that we successfully authorized Google Docs with Pabbly Connect. Firstly, it is asking for the template document. So in my Google Docs, as I've created a template in the name of termination letter, so over here in my Pabbly Connect for the template document, I'm going to select it as termination letter. After that, it is asking for the new document's name. So whenever a document is created from this template right over here, we have to provide the name to that document. For that, what I want is that the new document should start with my employee's name, whose details I'm going to add in my Google Sheets. For that, over here, we are going to map the data. Mapping means inserting data from the previous step. So as you can see, this was the previous step of this automation, and we're going to insert data from these previous steps. As we want that the name of my new document should start with the employee's name, and as we have received the data of the name of my employees in my Google Sheets step right over here, for that we have to click on this arrow right over here, and you can see this was the response that was captured in our previous step. As I want the new document's name should start with the name of my employee, I'm going to map the data of the name of my employee. After that, I want to write it as termination letter, so that every time a new document is going to be created from this template, the name of the document will always start with the employee's name. As I map the data right over here, the data has now become dynamic. That means every time a new response is going to be captured in our previous step, automatically the data right over here is going to be updated. After that, it says termination letter, and as I manually enter the data right over here, it is not going to be updated according to any response captured in previous step. As I've completed writing the data for the new document's name, it is asking for the new document's location. In my Google Drive, I have created a folder in the name of termination letters of employees, and I want that whenever a new document is created, automatically the location of that document should be in this folder. So over here for the new documents location, I'm going to select it as termination letters of employees. After that, it is asking for the reference number, date, employee name, designation, employee ID, and date of termination. As I've already told you, I've created a template, and in the template I've added the variables, as you can see right over here. So what we are going to do is, these are the variables of that template. So we're going to map the data in these fields. Mapping means inserting data from the previous step, and we're going to insert the data from our previous step. For that, we will click right over here, and we are going to insert the data from a previous step of Google Sheets new or updated spreadsheet row. We have to click on this arrow right over here. So this was the response that was captured in our previous step. As you want the data for the reference number, I'm going to map the data for the reference number, that is right over here. After that, it is asking for the date. We're going to map the data again, and in place of this date, I want the issued date, so I'm going to map the data of the issued date right over here. Then it is asking for the employee name. I'm going to map the data again. Click right over here, click on this arrow right over here. As you want the data for the employee name, I'm going to map the data. For the designation, we're going to follow the same steps again. We're going to map the data for the designation as well. After that, for the employee ID, we're going to map the data again. Click right over here. We're going to map the data for the employee ID, that is right over here. Lastly, for the date of termination, we're going to map the data again. This is the date of termination. I'm going to map the data. As I completed mapping all the data right over here, the data has now become dynamic. That means every time a new response is going to be captured in our previous step, automatically in place of these mapped data right over here, the data is going to be updated. After that, I'm going to click on save and send test request. As you can see right over here, response is received, and this is a positive response as we have received the document ID. So I'm going to open a Google Drive account, and I'm going to check whether a new document is created and added to my folder in my Google Drive or not. For that, I'm going to open my Google Drive, and yes, as you can see right over here, a new document is created of the termination letter. I'm going to open this document, and yes, as you can see, this is the document of the termination letter of dummy user 123, and it has all the details of the employees whose data we have added in our Google Sheet. For the reference number right over here. For the date, as the issued date right over here. For the name, as dummy user 123. Designation as junior content creator. Employee ID, a dummy employee ID. For the name, as dummy user 123. Again right over here. For the date of termination, the date of termination right over here. So this means that we successfully created a document from the template that we have created in our Google Docs. And over here on the top right corner over here, you can see it says private to only me. That means this document right over here is just private to only me. And as I want to send this document to my employee whose data I'm going to add in my Google Sheets with the help of email. So what we are going to do is we have to make this document accessible to everyone. For that, we have to open a Pabbly Connect account again, and we are going to add another action step. And over here, our action application is going to be Google Drive. So I'm going to select my action application as Google Drive, and our action event is going to be share a file with anyone, because we want to make this document right over here accessible to everyone. After that, I'm going to click on connect. A new window is going to appear in front of you, and as I have the existing connection, I'm going to choose this option, but if you want, you can add a new connection. After that, I'm going to click on save. As you can see that we successfully authorized Google Drive with Pabbly Connect. After that, it is asking for us to select a file ID. So in my previous step right over here, if I'm going to scroll down to the response that we have received, over here we have received a document ID, and this document ID is the ID of this document right over here. So over here in the place of file ID right over here, I'm going to map the data of that document ID, so that every time a new document is created, it should be accessible to everyone. For that, we have to click on this map bracket right over here. I'm going to erase this existing data, and now we're going to map the data from a previous step, that is right over here, from the Google Docs create document step right over here. This was the response that was captured in our previous step, and we're going to map the document ID from here. After that, I'm going to click on save and send test request. After that, you can see a response is received, and over here it says anyone with the link. So if I'm going to open the document right over here in the top right corner, now it is saying anyone with the link. That means now this file is accessible to anyone with the help of a link. And in the response right over here, you can see Pabbly Connect has provided us with multiple links. And we're going to use the PDF link right over here, as we want to send an email to our employee on their Gmail account with the attachment of the PDF form of the document. And we are going to use this link right over here. So now we're going to add another action step by clicking on this plus button right over here, and our action now is going to be Gmail, as we want to send an email to all of those employees whose data we are going to add in our Google Sheets. So now for the action event, we are going to send it as send email. After that, we're going to click on connect in order to connect Gmail with Pabbly Connect. A new window is going to appear in front of you, and as I have an existing connection, I'm going to choose this option, but if you want, you can add a new connection. After that, I'm going to click on save. As you can see that we successfully authorized Gmail with Pabbly Connect. Firstly, it is asking for the recipient email address. Over here, we're going to map the data again from our previous step. For that, you have to click right over here. As you want the recipient email address, it is captured in this response right over here. I'm going to map the data of the recipient email address. After that, it is asking for the CC and BCC. I'm going to skip this part. Next, it is asking for the sender's name. So over here for the sender's name, I'm going to write it as Team Dream Frame, as my organization's name is Dream Frame. So I have selected my sender's name as Team Dream Frame. After that, it is asking for the email subject. So I want my email subject. Important notice, termination of employment. So this is the subject that I want, and after that, after the dash, I want the name of my employee. So I'm going to map the data for the name of my employee. So this is the email subject, and every time a new email is going to be forwarded, the subject of the email will be important notice, termination of the employment, with the name of the employee whose data we're going to add in our Google Sheets. Then I'm going to skip this step for the reply to. For the email content type, I'm going to select it as plain. Then it is asking for the email content right over here. So this is the main body of the email. So I want the body of my email to be, so this is the email content that I want. It should start as dear with, and I want the name of the employee right over here. So I mapped the data of the name of the employee. It says, I hope this email finds you well. It is with regret that I must inform you of the decision of termination of your employment with Dream Frame. This decision was made after careful consideration and review of various factors. Attached to this email, you can find your formal termination letter outlining the details of termination. Please take your time to review the attached letter thoroughly. If you have any questions or concerns regarding the content of the letter of or the termination process in general, do not hesitate to reach out to me or the Human Resource Department. We appreciate the contributions you have made during your time in Dream Frame, and we wish you the very best in your future endeavors. Sincerely, Team Dream Frame, Jesse Matthew. So this is the content of the email that I want. So next, it is asking for the file name. Over here, we're going to provide the name to the file which is going to be attached to this mail right over here. I want that the name of my file should start as the name of my employee. So I'm going to map the data of the employee right over here, and it should say dash termination letter. So as I've entered this data manually, it is not going to be updated. After that, it is asking for the attachment. Over here, we're going to provide the URL that we have received in our previous Google Drive response. So I'm going to open the response right over here, and we're going to map the data. We're going to map the data of the PDF version of the file that is provided to us right over here. After filling all the details, I'm going to click on save and send test request. And yes, as you can see right over here, response is received, and over here it says send. So now I'm going to open my Gmail account, and I'm going to check whether I have received a new email or not with the attachment of the PDF version of termination letter of the data of the employees that we have entered in our Google Sheets or not. For that, I'm going to open my Gmail account. And yes, as you can see right over here, we have received a new email. It says important notice termination of employment dummy user 123, and it says dear dummy user right over here with the content of the email that we have mentioned, and it also have the attachment of the PDF version of the termination letter. I'm going to open this. It has the name of dummy user 123/termination letter, and this is the termination letter of dummy user 123 whose details we have added in our Google Sheets. For the name as dummy user, designation as junior content creator, employee ID, the reference ID right over here, the date issued right over here, the name again, the date of termination right over here with all the details. So this means that we successfully created an automation with the help of Pabbly Connect. So now to check whether this automation is successful or not, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another data of the employee in my Google Sheets, and I'm going to check whether I'm going to receive a new email with the attachment of the PDF form of the termination letter with all the details of the employee that we have added in our Google Sheets or not. For that, I'm going to open my Google Sheets again. So this is my Google Sheets that I've created, and I'm going to enter the data of the employee right over here. So as you can see, I've filled in all the details for the reference number, dummy reference number, for the issued date as 3rd April 2024, for employee ID, a dummy employee ID, for the employee name as test user 12, for the email as testuser123@pabblytuts.com, for the designation as sales manager, for the date of termination as 03/05/2024, that is 3rd of May 2024, then for the termination letter as yes. Now I'm going to check whether that I have received a new email with the attachment of a termination letter with all these details right over here or not. For that, I'm going to open my Gmail, and yes, as you can see right over here, we have received a new email for test user 12, that is right over here. It says dear test user 12 with this subject as important notice termination of employment test user 12. It has the content of the email right over here with the attachment of the PDF form of the termination letter. If I'm going to open, it has the name of test user 12 termination letter, and over here it has all the details of the employee who we have added in our Google Sheets. For the name as test user 12, designation as sales manager, reference number, the employee ID right over here, the date of issued of this termination letter, and the date of termination right over here. So this means that we successfully created an automation with the help of Pabbly Connect. So now to sum up till now what we have done. So as a business owner, what I wanted that I want to generate termination letter for my employees whose data I'm going to add in my Google Sheets, and I want to share it with the help of email. For that, we have created an automation with the help of Pabbly Connect. And these were the trigger and action steps of this automation process. If you like this video, please subscribe to our channel, hit on the like button, comment down below if you have any questions or doubts, and please share this video. So not just with these applications, you can automate more applications with the help of Pabbly Connect. If you have any doubt, you can send us email on support@pabbly.com. If you have any queries, you can ask us queries on forum.pabbly.com. And if you have any questions regarding the Pabbly Connect pricing, you can check out this link. If you like this video, please subscribe to our channel.